Hello and welcome to Reality Check. We are in day one of a severe nationwide lockdown to fight the coronavirus. Now, this was probably needed, and as the Prime Minister said, it may well turn out to be a turning point. But lockdowns aren't easy. I know many of you watching have faced discomfort today. Shortages at local grocery stores, not being able to easily access even permitted necessities like food and medicines or getting to your ATM. Perhaps even harassment by the police when you set out of the house for legitimate reasons. Now, those are real problems. But tonight, our focus is on the other India, the 70% of this country for whom lockdowns and distancing have much severer consequences. Millions of poor Indians have found themselves out of work, and this is just day one. We have 3 weeks to go. While India might be able to avert a health crisis, it could be staring at a humanitarian crisis. What is inexplicable is the government's delay in announcing steps to help the poor. We still don't know if the economic task force the PM promised has been created. Today, after a cabinet meeting when the Information and Broadcasting Minister was repeatedly asked about steps that had been taken by the government, his answer was basically to repeat the National Food Security Program, which provides subsidized wheat and rice to the poor. Let's listen to Mr. Javadekar.
कि एक मुद्दा आता है गरीबों को क्या सहूलत मिलेगी, तो उसके लिए मैं बताना चाहता हूं, केंद्र सरकार देश के 80 करोड़ लोगों को हर महीने 7 किलो प्रति व्यक्ति इतना राशन 27 रुपए जिस पर खर्च होते हैं वो गेहूं 2 रुपए में देते, 27 वही बता रहा हूं ना, लेकिन है ना 27, ये हमें भूलना नहीं चाहिए। कभी कभी क्या होता है चर्चा में हम भूलते हैं। तो कॉस्ट ऑफ wheat which stands at 27 rupees to Food Corporation of India is provided at 2 rupees, and the cost of rice which is at 37 rupees to the government is provided at 3 rupees. This is to 80 crore people. World's largest, दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी food security system है.
So basically just repeating the details of the ongoing food security program. What are the new measures? We're still waiting for that. Now, to look for the consequences of this dithering by the government doesn't need us to travel to rural interiors. It's evident on the streets of India's cities. Hundreds of urban poor suddenly out of work are making their way back to their villages. The lockdown has meant that there are no buses or trains. So many of them are setting off on journeys that could last hundreds of kilometers on foot. A journey in which they have to endure heat. Remember, summer is coming, hunger, and even police lathis.
भैया आप कहाँ से जा रहे हैं?
As India locks down, on the edge of Delhi, these men from Bihar begin a long journey home.
कहाँ जा रहे हैं? कैसे जाएंगे? ऐसे कैसे जाएंगे, लेकिन कैसे पहुंचेंगे, कितने दिन लगेंगे, कुछ पता है?
4-5 दिन लग जाएंगे।
कहाँ काम करते थे आप?
दिल्ली में।
क्या करते थे?
रिक्शा चलाते थे।
Overnight, they face a stark reality. No jobs, no food, and harassment by the police.
हम लोग यहाँ ठेला रिक्शा चलाते हैं ना, अब काम धंधा तो बंद है, 1 महीने के पर है छुट्टी बंद। अब पुलिस की धरना है, लाठी से सब पुलिस टपने नहीं देता है, रोड क्रॉस नहीं करने देता है, 4-5 आदमी के एक ठर रहने नहीं देता है, वहाँ अलगे सबके मार के लाठी से भगावले रहता है। आज 12 बजे रात से कर्फ्यू लगा दिया था, 10 बजे हम कहिए चलो अब घर।
हम अजमेरी गेट पार्सल में काम करते हैं।
हाँ।
है। अब अजमेरी गेट से हम बिहार जा रहे हैं।
कैसे जाएंगे?
किसे जाएंगे?
ठेले से जाएंगे हम लोग।
ये सिलेंडर गैस है, इसमें राशन है। यहाँ रास्ते में पर अब रुके थे, आराम करेंगे।
आपको किसने बोला घर जाने के लिए?
घर से बीवी बाल बच्चा मान नहीं रहा है, जाना ही पड़ेगा, क्या करेंगे हम लोग? हमें यहाँ भूखे थोड़ी मरेंगे।
We ask, Will they come back?
पड़ती पर रहने वाले इंसान हैं, घर मकान में थोड़ी रहते हैं वहाँ पे।
ऐसे फुटपाथ पर सोते हैं हम लोग पुराना वायरस के चक्कर में।
तो 21 दिन का बंद है, उसके बाद वापस आएंगे?
आएंगे जाएंगे
तो उसके बाद
हम लोग को दिल्ली से ही कमाना खाना
आने
है।
कहाँ से?
In Lucknow, we came across these men, labourers who work at a factory in Unnao, walking towards the Barabanki district. Lucknow is the midpoint, a grueling 80-kilometer journey.
आप तो यंग आदमी हैं, मोदी जी की बात भी आपने सुनी होगी। वो तो कह रहे हैं कि 20-21 दिन अगर यहीं रुक जाइए तो उसके बाद फिर आप लोग वापस कर सकते हैं। तो गांव क्यों जा रहे हैं जब साधन नहीं है?
वहाँ पे रुकने नहीं दे रहे हैं ना कंपनी में।
क्या कह रहे हैं?
बोल रहे हैं कि कॉलोनी खाली करो
अच्छा,
और वायरस का बहुत प्रकोप चल रहा है।
दिहाड़ी अगर नहीं रहेगी तो आगे कैसे आप लोग काम चलाइएगा?
तो अब घर में रहेंगे जो है, बस उसी में काम चलेगा।
हाँ।
और क्या, अब जो सरकार से मिले
हाँ,
उसमें, और क्या।
क्या सुना है आपने सरकार क्या देगी?
अब सरकार तो सुना 1-1 हज़ार रुपये भी दे रही है सिर्फ।
आप रजिस्टर्ड हैं कहीं उसके लिए?
नहीं।
आप बेटा क्यों रो रहे हो, क्या बात हो गई?
In Delhi's Anand Vihar, this young man on his way home to Bihar breaks down.
बताओ 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 क्या हुआ, क्या बताओ 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 बताओ, बात करो, क्या हुआ है बताओ।
घर जाने के लिए।
घर जा रहे हो हैं?
नहीं, बिहार जाने के लिए।
तो क्या 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 दिक्कत हो रही है?
मार रहे हैं पुलिस लोग।
पुलिस ने मारा आपको अभी?
नहीं, मारने के लिए डरवा रहे हैं।
अच्छा, क्या कह रहे हैं?
कोई नहीं बैठने दे रहा है लोग।
अच्छा, तो आपको बस नहीं मिल रही क्या?
नहीं।
अच्छा, कोई बस नहीं मिली जाने के लिए?
नहीं।
तो अभी कहाँ रह रहे हो?
अब किधर आया लोग?
अच्छा, तो कब से घूम रहे हो यहाँ पर?
तीन रोज से।
3 दिन से घूम रहे हो?
जी।
कोई गाड़ी नहीं मिली जाने के लिए?
नहीं।
क्या काम करते हो यहाँ पर?
लेबर में।
आप अभी मजदूरी करते हैं?
जी।
With Alok Pandey in Lucknow, this is Rishika Barua, NDTV.
Also, just to give you an idea of what exactly is going on with India's poor who are suddenly finding themselves out of work and in many cases not able to actually go back to their homes, we'll play you a video that an activist has shot at a homeless shelter in Delhi. Let's play you that video just shot in the past 24 hours and it'll give you an idea of what's going on. So this is a video presumably taken at a mealtime at this homeless shelter. Just look at that. The camera is tracking rows and rows of people who basically are displaced and who have just come here for a meal.
पिला रहा है, हाथ धो रहे हैं, तो क्या होगा?
All right, joining us tonight on the show, I have with us Deepak Bagla, who's Managing Director and CEO of Invest India, which is the Government of India's investment platform to promote investment. Shamika Ravi is here with us, Director of Research, Brookings India, former member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Shamika, what exactly is going on? Why do you think it is taking the government so long to announce something for the poor?
I think the government currently, of course, you know that a slew of measures were announced earlier. Of course, they were mostly catered to the formal sector, SMEs. And while those are necessary, Vasu, sure, it's very clear that time is of the essence. I think this is not a time to be timid. I think we have to go about it in a much more calibrated way, since several states have already taken that initial leadership position in terms of the cash transfers. It's very important to put out some kind of a national, cash transfer scheme. Now, that can happen in different ways. I mean, currently we have methods of targeting. It can be through the NREGS, it can be through the PDS, it can be through completely alternate targeting, maybe for the destitutes who are not a part of any of these others.
Right.
But we definitely have to. Time is of great essence at this point. Yeah.
I agree with you. The clock is ticking. And there are all, as you mentioned, these are not rocket science proposals. I mean, these proposals are all on the table. There's the option of, as you said, you can do like a cash transfer, you can advance Narega payments. There are all sorts of measures that are possible at this time. You can enhance food security outlays to the poor as one way of helping them. But I don't know why that's not happening. Now, Deepa Bagla, I know this is not directly something that is under your watch, but are you equally baffled about why something as basic as this is taking so long?
Srinivasan, it's not a question to be baffled. And I was just seeing the videos which you were showing just prior to bringing us all onto the screen. That actually shows the complexity of the situation. It's unprecedented. Never before in human history have we had to go through an exercise of what we are going through now. Please understand that. The other two strong elements of it. One, it's a situation which is very fast evolving and changing very fast.
Sure.
And the second element to that, it is something which concerns the personal life of each and every individual. Let's put it all into perspective. A lot has happened so far.
No, just
can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I just want to jump in for a second. I just want to jump in.
Let me just take me through.
I just want to jump in for a second, because when you say that, yeah, sorry. So when you say that this is complex and this is unprecedented, it is, of course, it is complex and it is unprecedented. But it's also fairly straightforward that the poor are directly and immediately hit. They've been displaced by the thousands. They're rendered jobless. And we don't even know what's happening in the countryside. Now, it's not as if the government isn't aware of this. They've said that, yes, we're concerned about the poor. The Prime Minister said there'll be an economic task force. The Finance Minister has hinted that an economic package is coming. Now, as Shamika is saying, time is of the essence. Every minute, every second you delay this, you're plunging them into a crisis, not just their own personal crisis, by the way, but the fact is they're also now displaced. So they're moving in large numbers from cities to villages. So social distancing is for them not a luxury, and there's a risk that they actually could be carrying infection. So it's again something which, you know, at the end of the day doesn't require that much thought. You just need to act.
Srinivasan, a lot has already in the process. As you just heard, number of measures have been announced. And just give it a little time, you'll see a number of more measures being happening. It's all happening.
But for the poor, but none for the poor. None for daily wages, none for agricultural laborers. That's 60-70% of India.
And I think all those measures are in the process. And that is what you will hear.
Okay.
We've just got into this situation. And let me also tell you that so much has already been done. We've been on conference calls with investors from across the globe.
Okay.
And the first thing unanimously, which is what we've been hearing from them, is the amazing pace and the leadership, the stance which has happened and the steps which are being taken in it. Let me give you a quick one. We launched the business immunity platform just 72 hours ago. It's on, anybody can come on to it. It's on investindia.gov.in. I've had over 30,000 visitors in the past 72 hours from 40 countries.
Okay.
I've had them all coming in and saying the same thing, that the leadership and the pace at which decisions are making in India gives them a huge comfort that this is the place they ought to be. That's the first, Srinivasan. Let me just complete on that. The second set of elements, you will now have, one of the things about this government, it works with a huge level of consultation with all stakeholders.
Okay.
And that is what has happened. The Prime Minister, the senior leadership has themselves got involved into this entire process. It's just begun. You've already started hearing of the measures which are happening, and you will start hearing of them as we go forward.
No, Deepak, let me just say this. I said this at the outset. I said that when it came to actually responding to the health crisis, I think it's true that we've been swift, we've been decisive. And I think that the lockdown is difficult but necessary. But when it has come to the aspect of dealing with the economic consequences, especially for those at the bottom half, there is really much that is left to be desired. Anjali Bharadwaj is also on the show with us. Good to have you. Social activist, co-convener NCPRI. Vivek Reddy, leader of the BJP, also with us. Anjali Bharadwaj, the clock is ticking. What exactly is going, I mean, how much of these delays, how much of an impact are they having on the poor?
Well, look, Srinivasan, it is very clear that 90% of our workforce in India actually works in the unorganized sector. Now, when we are dealing with a pandemic like this, and of course, it is an emergency pretty much situation where there has been an immediate response. I think what is really missing is that we did see country after country being affected by this virus, and we needed to have done planning for this set of people who would be economically devastated when a lockdown kind of situation is put in place. Now, I think what is happening and what is playing itself on the ground is that there are a vast majority of people who are dependent on daily wages.
Right.
They need to earn on that day to be able to feed themselves and their families. So when we have a situation of a lockdown, those people are finding themselves in utter destitution. They are already at a situation where they are at huge risk because of food insecurity, and they are going to get into a starvation point very soon unless something is done to effectively address this. Now, there has to be a decentralized way of reaching food to these people, both cooked food where they can't cook and uncooked food where the public distribution system can be used.
Right. You know, Shamika, one of the things, I don't know if this is at all weighing on the government, is that the various options before them in terms of what they need to do is not going to be cheap. There are some estimates that have come out. Some of the Congress economists have come out with numbers. I think others have as well. And we're talking in the ballpark of 2 to 3 lakh crores of safety net measures. Is that something which could be a reason why the government is hesitating, or is this a time when you can't be sitting and necessarily thinking about balancing the books?
No, I think, Srinivas, I'll tell you the approach generally, given the scale and complexity of the problem, is one of waiting and watching as sort of the situation is unfolding. And it's very important to realize that there are two simultaneous challenges here. One is to contain this infection rate.
Right.
But also it's important to contain this recession curve. No, when we say flatten the curve, it's not just the infection that we are now worried about.
Yes.
We are clearly also worried about the recession, which is obviously here.
Right.
So in terms of the overall numbers, look, there will also be sharing between the center and the states.
Yes.
And some states, as I mentioned, have already committed, the funds.
Yes.
So I don't think it is this is a time to really bind yourself to the fiscal deficit targets. I really think it is a matter of, figuring out the details, and I do think that it's a matter of time that the government will come out with this economic the package.
That's something, Deepak, I wanted to ask you, because you said that you're getting great response from talking to investors and all of that. But we're talking mostly right now about the poor and about the informal economy. But as Shamika said, that overall, there is this worry about heading into a kind of recessionary curve. And even big business, corporate India, everyone's bleeding right now. I mean, look at airlines, look at everybody, car makers. Is there also an urgency in announcing a stimulus for them as well, like other countries have done?
Srinivasan, I lost out on the contact, but the little which I understand is about the fiscal stimulus. One, in any very fast evolving situation, there's a proactive element and there's a reactive element. And I think a lot has been done and a lot will be done, and you will start seeing it happen.
Okay.
As far as the reaction to coming up with a very comprehensive package, I think that's already in the process.
Right.
You will hear about it fairly soon. And the point taken and the point which is being mentioned here, that it has taken too long, I personally think it's just the other way around. You've already started seeing measures happening. You already started seeing the first biggest priority is saving lives. And we've all agreed to it that a lot has happened to make that happen.
The second element now of economic measures. We're talking
I'm coming to the economic side of it, Srinivasan. That is parallel, which is going on. So that is where the entire stakeholder discussion is happening.
Right.
A number of measures have already been announced, and a number of them you will hear during the course of the next few days.
Right. Okay.
It's just started the entire process.
Okay.
This entire situation has just come on.
Okay. Okay. Let's you keep saying it's just started. If you were to listen to some of those voices of people who interviewed, they say this has been going on for a month, because as the severity of the disease has spread, this lockdown that happened yesterday was not yesterday's news. There's been a gradual scaling up of basically a lockdown or of lockdown-like situations, and that has hit them, weeks in advance. So for them, it's not something which is immediate. But I also want to just go across to Delhi police, because there's also been this concern that just trying to conduct business at this time, people trying to legitimately get their food delivered, or delivery companies are getting harassed, even beaten by the police. We heard some of these laborers also complain about that. And how exactly is the police responding to that charge? So I had a chance to speak to MS Randhawa, Delhi police.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you at all.
Just a second. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you in just a second. Delhi police PRO spoke to him a short while ago. Let's listen. There are multiple complaints coming in that the police is over enforcing the lockdown. There are examples of people getting harassed, even beaten up, for just going about their business and doing what is legally permitted.
Basically, for the enforcement of the lockdown, we have deployed the proper staff. And regarding the complaint of the harassment, for the movement of persons involved in the emergency services, essential services and commodities, for inter-border movement of all these goods, we are not asking any type of pass. But for the persons who are involved in the essential services for movement within Delhi, they need to show their I-cards. And for inter-border movement, for the government employees, they just need to show their I-cards. And for private organizations, we have issued them movement passes for movement across the border. And for the maintenance of essential services, we are also having the meetings with all the stakeholders. Recently, today itself, we hold the meeting with the e-commerce sites so that they can run their business smoothly.
I wanted to ask you on the e-commerce sites, because you're aware of this, that many of them have complained that their delivery boys, the people who carry the supplies, have been stopped. In some cases, they've been beaten up by the police.
Basically, we are in constant touch. We are in constant touch with all the e-commerce sites, and there is a complaint at one point. Definitely, we are looking into it, and we have also sensitized our staff that all these delivery boys, they have to allow proper functioning, and proper protection has to be given. And Delhi police will ensure that they function properly.
So that's an
and
important
any
thing.
of their grievance, basically we have.
That's an important thing you're saying, that you have also sensitized your men, because it's one thing to reassure people, but the important thing is to let the men who are actually enforcing know that you can't start beating people up.
Definitely, if ever we will find fault with our men, we will take action. But normally we have created a platform where these e-commerce sites, they can directly send their complaints or their grievances to us, and on the real-time basis we will solve it. To remove any clarification, and if they have any doubt, Delhi Police has given a helpline that is 234 69 526. 234 69 526. This is the helpline issued by Delhi Police in addition to 112. If anybody is having any doubt, he can clarify from this helpline.
Okay, MS Randhawa there with the helpline. Let me just get quick last comments from everyone. Vivek Reddy, now, you heard I don't know if you had a chance to hear Prakash Javadekar. Many questions were put to him today, and he didn't have a clear answer as to why there's no economic package.
Well, I think
he cited the food security program, which has been going on for years.
In a few days, this is on the anvil. This is being considered by the government seriously. It will be put in place in 2 or 3 days. We must remember one thing:
2 or 3 days.
That this lockdown is just 20 hours old.
So
This
2 or 3
lockdown is
days,
20 hours old.
2 or 3 days, we'll have the economic package?
Absolutely. The government is seriously considering. It has to ensure that all areas are addressed, and this will surely come up in the next few days. So there is no need to, in the first 20 hours, we need not panic that there will be no package. And Mr. Deepak has also clarified that it is on the anvil, it is bound to come.
You know, when you say don't panic, I mean, try telling that to those people that we saw who are now, some of them are going to be walking for 4 to 5 days in the heat to get home because there was nothing for them. You know, so I mean, they are understandably
panicked. This is an unprecedented lockdown. We have to save their lives first. That is also important. And the economic fallout has also, the safety net has to be laid by the government. And the government is formulating it. And while it is being formulated,
we are holding our breath, Vivek Reddy, and let's hope you're right. But we'll have to leave it there. Vivek, you'll stay with us, but I'll thank the rest of my panel. Thank you all so much for joining us.